Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and yet again, joining me once again for the third time, the lovely, the beautiful, the awesome Marissa Tonge. How you doing, Marissa?
What up, dude?
Thank you. Like I said, this is the third time on my show appearing. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You've been there since the beginning, essentially, and you've always been supportive, and I just want to thank you so much for all of that. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Anything to support, the
cause, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love the shirt also, Real Vibes Only. I want to do a little plug real quick.
Yeah, so Real Vibes Only. You guys can get this sweatshirt on my website, realrhythmdanceandfitness.com. Got some other merch as well, but this is the vibe right now.
All right, good. You guys got any like big guy friendly merch as well for me? Because I want to support if I can,
This comes in, I think it goes up to like a 3XL.
Okay. Well, I'm not that big.
It has some pink in it, if you don't mind doing a little pink.
No. I don't care. I'm just all about supporting, I just want to put the, your merch out there. So,
appreciate you.
Yeah. So anyway, the last time you were on my show, we were kind of doing a little bit of review of 2020 and just basically what's been going on in the outside world and in our personal lives. And I figure the formula worked. Why don't we just pick up from there as well? So the last time we spoke, a lot has happened. It's in our personal lives and also in the outside world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you start first. Since the last time you were on my show, what were some of the things that has gone on in your personal life and some of the things that has affected you from the outside world?
So 2022 has been interesting. I feel like it was a better year than last year for sure. Better than 2021. Last year was very I'm going to just say that 2022 has been transformational. So
Nice.
For me, like a lot of internal transformation, external as far as like with my business, with my career, I've made some like career changes, some progressions, some things like cutting some people off, just making those changes to make a better life for myself. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. It has been a roller coaster. Like there's definitely been a dark period in 2022, where I kind of had to just sit down and be like, yo, I need to get my life together and this is what I'm gonna do. And it's the past couple of months it's been great, honestly. Like
Nice.
Closing out the year has been great, but I had to
Nice.
get here,
Yeah. So with that being said, I guess the beginning of the year was the most rocky for you, and then it just naturally progressed into something better.
Yes.
See, now the thing for me is that it was opposite. Like 2020, the beginning of 2022 was actually relatively good. Okay, it didn't really have any complaints. But then afterwards, I guess like it's funny because I feel like when I guess it's July 14th or whatever, when it's the halfway mark of the year, it's weird because around that time, that's when things started to change dramatically for me and not for the better.
Yeah.
Like matter of fact, for instance, the last time that we were on my show, I was in a relationship. I'm no longer in that relationship now.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it was for the best for both parties. I got no animosity on either side, and it's just like I told you before, it was probably the most mature breakup that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
But after that breakup happened, then a lot of things started to go sideways, and I don't think it was a result of the breakup. It was just things just happened like it was going to happen regardless whether I was still in a relationship or not. One thing that I'll tell you, and I haven't really told anybody, I kind of kept it on the wraps because it was kind of
secrets. I love secrets.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but there was a little bit of a hiatus that I took with the podcast. A lot of people thought it was because it was a mental break, a health break that I needed, which is kind of true. But the part that people don't know is that I was kind of forced into taking that break because somebody broke into my car. Ooh. And I was stupid enough to leave a lot of important equipment like my laptop and stuff in the car.
Oh, shit.
And
can I curse? Can I say shit?
Yeah. What's funny is that you asked me that last time. Can you curse on the show?
I did. I just got to make sure.
Yeah. Tell me you're listening without telling me you're listening. But anyway, so my car got broken into, unfortunately, and they took some of my equipment that I really needed to continue the show. So I was forced to take a little bit of a break because you know what? At the same time, I feel like recently I've become a more of a, what do you call that, half glass full kind of guy? Is half glass empty? I don't know.
Optimistic or like?
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know which terminology people use
Maybe
anymore.
pessimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I was the pessimistic Jay, but not so
Yeah.
much. But
Good.
it's going to lead into my point here. So, long story short, there was a bunch of things that did not go my way this second half of the year. But what I have to take away from it is that I got to be proud of myself because of the progression that I made as a human, because I kind of put myself in the scenario where, like, if all of these things happened, this second half of the year, maybe if it happened to me like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have been this completely negative person where, like, oh my God, woe is me. Why does this pattern always happen? I can't get out of this rut. It's always this, always that, and always taking it out of other people.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, even though all this bad shit was happening, I remained somehow relentlessly optimistic through it all. And I just kind of told myself, and I kind of learned this, and, it's going to be a nice segue actually into the video that you posted not too long ago. I started to have the mentality that I know things are going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of when are they going to get better. Mm-hmm. So it's just all about having patience and so on and so forth. So the segue is into that video that you posted on your YouTube channel. Or where can they find it again?
YouTube channel, Marissa Tonge, Marissa, last name Tonge.
Okay, so I believe the name of the video, the title of the video is six tips to enter the new year 2023.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically the gist of it. Mm-hmm. Me doing my show and everything, I'm always doing my research and always supporting, friends of the show and everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I won't give any of the things away because I want my audience and also your future audience to, check out that video. But I did want to touch on the thing that you said, a couple of things like coming back to, having patience. Patience is key and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And that's what, and when I saw that video, I was like, yes, I totally agree with that. And that's something that I learned this year, subconsciously, mind you, about I know that things are going to get better. It's just a matter of when. So it's just all about learning to have patience. So is everything in my life going on right now great? No. I'll be honest with you. There's things that could be better, but I'm not being pessimistic about it. I'm not being this woe is me kind of person. I'm actually, just trudging and keep on going, and I persevere, and I know that eventually it is going to get better. And then finally now I'm starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, that's honestly key. Mm-hmm. Like life is gonna get hard. I think with social media and just seeing like people's highlight reels and just all these good things going on in people's lives, like we just feel this pressure. Yeah,
we live in this instant gratification world. That's what it is.
Yeah, like we want things to be perfect. We want the perfect job. We want the perfect family. We want like all these accomplishments to come right away, and that's just not how life happens.
Right. And you kind of touched on that on the video, because you did mention that back then you figured that at age 27 or 28 you would have been married with kids and so on and so forth. It hasn't happened yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but your mindset is where you're not dwelling on it. You're not kicking yourself that it didn't happen yet. You're still very young. And you got plenty of time, and I just love the mentality that you have where it hasn't happened yet, but you're remaining optimistic, and more importantly, you're focusing on yourself, because how can you build a life with anybody else if you can't build it with yourself first?
Yeah, you have to love yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to work on yourself. Like, I never want to go into a relationship and feeling like I'm not happy with myself, or feeling like I have so much work to do on myself, because that's going to start to pour into the relationship and affect, the way that I communicate with this person, the way that my mood is, I feel like there's a lot of work, and obviously you're not going to go into a relationship perfect, and your life is not going to be great. As far as like you have nothing else to work on, you're always going to be growing. Yeah. But I think for me personally, I just want to go into a relationship whole and feeling like I can bring something to the table, and feeling like I'm happy in my life and not depending on someone to make me happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing that you touched on the video, again, we won't get into all of it because I want everybody to see it, but I also like the idea, and I was, when you said this, I was definitely like, yes, preach. Saying no without giving an explanation.
Yes.
That has actually been a really big thing for me, because I realized that, whenever I said no to certain things, people were always asking me like why or how come, always wanted an explanation. And I always had to come up with some thing where I feel like I had to sugarcoat it to not hurt people's feelings or whatever. Now my mentality is because I just don't fucking want to.
Yeah, like I don't want to. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Like, sorry, not available. It's really no one's business why you can't do something, especially, I feel like, especially when it comes to work and jobs. Like these jobs, they feel like they own you because they're giving you a paycheck or whatever. Like, no, I'm not available to come in this day. No, I can't make it to this meeting. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I have a life outside of this. But, pertaining to personal relationships and even friendships, like, I feel like that's where we feel the most guilt when it comes to friends and family.
Because
like,
they know how to guilt trip you.
Yes. Like, oh, well, you never come see me, or we never hang out anymore. Or it's just like, well, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm sorry. Like, and at some point that might change. Maybe I will be able to spend more time with you or whatever, whatever I'm saying no to.
Right. And people just got to realize that it's not anything personal. It's like we got to take care of what we need to take care of first. I mean, listen, we're both adults now, just like everybody else in our circle. We have responsibilities. We have shit that we have to take care of. It's fun to have fun and get away and so on and so forth, but these are just tough times right now. We got our own personal shit that we got to deal with, and we just hope that you would be respectful and understand it, because I'm of the mindset that if it's the opposite direction, I would be more understanding. So why can't they be?
Agreed. 100%.
Right. So but no, I love the video that you posted. I thought it was a perfect segue to go into the new year. Definitely check that out, guys, when you can. But I noticed that you've been doing a lot more. The last time I spoke to you, I told you that I really enjoy the content that you've been doing on your YouTube channel, and I just wish that you would, I would like to see more. And it looks like
consistent.
But you know what? You've been staying more consistent, especially with the dance videos, especially.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see it. So I'm not going to put you in that category with other people that say they're going to do it and they're not staying consistent, because you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's not easy. You're doing the best you can, but you're making it happen.
I'm doing what I can. I'm not doing my best. Like, I'm just always hard on myself. So one of my goals is to like be more consistent, but we're working on it. Yeah.
What other things do you want to be more consistent on going into this new year?
Ooh, everything. Literally everything. Like my fitness. I want to be more consistent with just things in general with my business. So I'm trying to like do more, with what I do right now. I can't really talk about it. I mean, I can talk about it, but it's, whatever. But just trying to like add on more, I guess, responsibilities in a sense. So I have to, in order for me to add on responsibilities, I have to be consistent with what I already have. It doesn't make sense to pile on more work if I'm not getting the work done now. So just trying to be consistent with my my fitness, my eating, my sleep routine, just things that are gonna make my life better.
Your wellness.
My wellness. Yeah.
That was a big thing that you were talking about on the video as well.
That's big.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more to my audience and to myself?
Yeah. So for me, wellness is, when I was talking in the video, wellness is just how well you take care of yourself. Like, that's how I define it.
It's a very broad term.
It's a broad term. Like, we talk about wellness and you're thinking, like yoga, meditation, eating salads, like things like that. But I feel like wellness is really, it's what you make it. It's really just how you're taking care of yourself. So for me, I want to live a very healthy and happy life. And in order for me to do that, like, I have to find consistency with things, but also like finding things that work for you. I think wellness is so broad. So, for some people that might be green juices and, like doing Pilates every day.
Keto,
keto diets and starving themselves. But for me, it's like, wellness is just like simplicity, like just maybe turning my phone off, honestly, and not responding to messages and things like that, like, because that has to do with your mental health. So mental health also goes under that umbrella of wellness, right. That's part of it. So you got to make sure you're taking care of your physical, mental, spiritual, you know, all of that all ties into wellness. So just trying to be better with all that.
Right. But even when you try to keep that mental that mental state that you want to be in, at the end of the day, we're always human, and it's always about balance. And you know, we try to do the best we can with consistency. But like I said, we're only human. So there's going to be those times where we have those leaps and bounds and trials and tribulations. So when you find yourself in those trials and tribulations, so to speak, how do you get out of it, or how do you work through it?
So I started journaling last year, or maybe like 2020.
Wow. You're the third person that's actually mentioned journaling this week, but continue.
Yeah. Journaling has helped me just getting like my thoughts out and my feelings, just writing it down, like instead of holding it in, bottling it up, you know, waiting. I've also been in therapy for over a year now. So therapy has helped me. I see my therapist twice a month, so that's something, you know, that has helped me tremendously.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My therapy anniversary. But yeah, like moving my body, that's a big thing. So if you go on my Instagram, like I have movement coach, you know, that's a broad term or whatever, but I prioritize movement and I try to get everyone, and movement could be anything. Like it could be walking down the freaking street, you know, with your dog. It could be just stretching for 10 minutes, you know, but we need that movement in our lives to help us feel better.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that's one of the things that I've started to do since the beginning of the year. And I've had trouble with the consistency part, but I'm doing the best that I can. And I have been staying consistent with it as of late. And that's this little thing that I like to call my mental health walk. So basically what it is that simple enough, all I do is I just walk for 4 miles a day. And I don't care what I have planned or what I got to do and so on and so forth. Somehow, some way, I got to make sure that I do it, because I call it my mental health walk, because I do it for my own personal wellness, not just to get my body moving, but it really goes back to a time when I used to live with my father, God rest his soul, where, you know, when two alpha males are shared under the same roof and we're always butting heads, you got to, you know, you got to blow off some steam.
A lot of testosterone.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Between the Taurus and the Gemini, forget it.
Oh, Gemini.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy.
But anyway, I realized that just to get out and blow off some steam, I would just, and this is how long I've been doing it from back then. This is when I had CD players. And I would actually have a CD player with me, put my headphones on, and I wasn't even planning on, you know, walking a certain distance or anything like that. I just needed to just clear my head for whatever reason. And I just remember that became a point where I was doing it where it wasn't even because I needed to blow off some steam. It was just something that I genuinely enjoyed doing. Like I'm out of the house, I'm getting fresh air, I'm listening to, you know, whatever the fuck I want to listen to, and just like, you know, tune out the entire world for a certain amount of time. Yes, it's my time. It's me time, you know? And I've actually found solace in it. And I've been doing it much more consistently. And there's also ways to work around it, because sometimes in this disrespectful ass cold that we're in right now, you sometimes don't feel like up to doing it. So I'll make an adjustment. And what I do is I'll go to the gym and I'll just go on the treadmill and walk for 4 miles with the incline, and I'm still doing it.
Yes.
I'm still getting it done.
Yes. And inclines are great for you.
Like, yeah, exactly.
People hate inclines, but they're so good for you.
Yeah. But the point is that when there's a will, there's a way. Just because it's fucking 5 degrees outside, it's not going to stop me from doing what I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's dope that like you have that mindset that no matter what, I'm still going to walk. I'm still going to go outside. Like this is what I need for myself. And like I think more of us need to do that and realize like the things that we need, you know. And like I did mention that in the video, like write down 5 things that bring you peace, and like that's one of them, you know. For some people, like just taking a walk. For some people it could be reading, you know, for an hour or 20 minutes, you know, whenever they have the time to read. So you got to find those little pockets of like peace and joy, and add them into your life daily. Now
when you did that video, you said you had 6 things to do to, you know, did you plan to do the number 6, or it was just 6 that come into your head where you're trying to do a top 10 and you just only came up with 6? Like how did the number 6 come about?
I did 6. So usually like I try to plan out what I'm going to talk about in the video. So I'll write down in my journal what comes to mind. So usually like before I even do videos, I'll write down a bunch of topics, or honestly, it could be whatever comes in my head. Like if I just feel like, oh, this is on the top of my head today, this is what I'm going to talk about. So it just happened to be 6. Also, I try to keep my videos pretty short so people will watch the whole thing. So I was like, let me just stick with these 6 and like could really talk about them instead of like just trying to do like 10 or 12. But those are the most important, the lessons that I learned this year. Those were like top 6 for me.
Okay, so it basically just worked out itself in the end, and 6 is a good number anyway.
Yeah,
so
6 is cool.
Yeah, and it was a 20-minute video, so it definitely can keep you engaged, especially in this instant coffee world that we live in.
Yes.
You do a video for like an hour, people are gonna just like be disinterested.
People are so impatient. Oh my god, I'm one of them. But
so we're all guilty of it.
That's why reels are so popular now, because it's like 30 seconds. People's attention span is so short. So like I feel like that's how Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, like they're so successful, because people literally, it's like, okay, 15-second video, 30-second video, like, and you have their attention for those 30 seconds. But anything more than a minute, it's like, oh no, this is too much. I don't have time for this. Like,
now the thing about that is that since you're doing all these reels and these videos and trying to be out there on social media, it's fun. We enjoy doing it and everything, but do you sometimes feel like it's starting to feel more like a job and you're not really enjoying it as much, or you feel like you can get burnt out because you feel like you have to be consistent with the content out there?
So I just want to say I do not enjoy it. Like, I do not enjoy social media. If anybody knows me, like my friends, like I honestly do not enjoy it. I do it because it is a job. Like it's part of my job. So what I can say is I enjoy filming the content depending on what it is. So like with Instagram, it's like, all right, Instagram, I can make some cool reels, things like that. But for the most part, it is for engagement, especially on my business page, Real Rhythm Dance Fitness. You guys can follow. So on that page, it's mostly about engagement and trying to get clients and things like that. On my personal page, it's more like, just a taste of my life. And I try to be really authentic on my personal page. And, just say and display things that people can relate to, you know? So, for me, yes, social media is a job. I would definitely say I try to plan out, how many reels I'm going to do for the week or what YouTube videos I'm going to do. That's the only way I'm going to do it. Yeah. So trying to be consistent, it is a job, and I feel like it's going to pay off in the long run, because that's just where we are. Yeah. And going into 2023, social media is everything. So,
and I got to learn how to be a little bit more consistent, but at the same time, I want to balance it. And let me explain what I mean by that. So I just said I was down in Florida for the holidays, spending it with my mom, my sister, my brother, and everything. And if you really go on my page, I didn't do really any posting while I was down there. Usually, especially in this time when, up in Jersey or up in the Northeast for that matter, where it's completely cold, and it's a perfect opportunity for me to do like content and reels and like, the sunny, South Side Florida and everything like that, make it very visually aesthetic and, be like, oh man, I wish I was kind of there, kind of very visually appealing. And it was a perfect opportunity to do that, but I just didn't have the desire to do it, because I feel like, all right, I'm taking a break from like my everyday life. Yeah. I'm not home. I'm visiting family and so on and so forth. And I just didn't feel the need to do it. I mean, I felt like it was also
to be present.
Right. And I also didn't want it to be I didn't want it to be forced, like there's actually a couple of videos that I have in my phone right now of me being on, during a pool day and also at the beach and everything. And the idea initially was to, all right, well, maybe I'll get around to, posting it, but I don't know. I just haven't had the desire to do it or focus on it, because that was my me time, essentially. And I don't feel like it's always necessary to broadcast it the entire world. I mean, even my friend Joe, shout out to Joe from Therapy Without a Degree in Jersey Media.
Joe.
He's a guy that has been going consistently to the gym, but he doesn't feel the need to post it all the time. Like he's just mainly focused on himself, and he does other content. He puts himself out there in other ways, but I think that's just one thing that he likes to just keep to himself, and it's a good thing. Keep it for your own wellness.
Yeah. Everything doesn't need to be displayed or shared, like for sure. And I feel like it's healthy. Like that's really healthy to set those boundaries and be like, all right, this is my time I'm going to spend with my family or by myself or whatever the case. And I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to post this. Even if you get the content and you're like, okay, I have it in my phone. Do I want to post it right now? No. Maybe in a couple months, you might find something and be like, oh, let me post this, whatever. Yeah. But I don't feel like we need to record and film everything and post everything. Like it's not necessary.
Isn't it kind of ridiculous how people just automatically feel like as soon as they get their dinner plate on the table, they immediately have to get a video or a photo of it before actually enjoying it?
Yes.
Now it feels like to people it's like it's a necessity.
Yes. I mean, I'm guilty. I've done that a couple times.
I've done it a couple times too, but
not
to
enjoy my food.
Yeah, this all mine. You can't have none.
Yeah. Mood.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Yeah.
So I want to focus a little bit more on the positives that you had to deal with in the beginning of 2022. So what are the positive things that have you been able to accomplish or, find within yourself to bring that energy into the next year?
Positives. I would say I have like a new level of confidence. So it took me a while to get here. Confidence is not something that comes overnight. That's a constant. You're constantly working on your confidence. And for me, that's really important because I am, like, my profession, I lead other people. So I lead other people to dance. I lead other people to work out. I lead other people to feel comfortable in their bodies, all of that. So if I'm not confident and I'm not comfortable within myself, like, I can't preach and I can't help other people do that. So, like, that's really big for me, especially when it comes to women. I have a lot of women clientele who come and they're like, I've had kids and I fell off and I just don't feel like myself, or I hate my body, things like that. So for me, like, getting other people to get to that level of feeling confident and feeling good within themselves, that's also going to set you up for making good decisions. So for instance, if I'm someone who has no confidence and I go into a job interview and they're offering me, let's say, $10 an hour, to work like 50 hours a week. And and I'm like, I guess, I'll take it. Like, I don't know my worth at that point, and no shade to anybody who's working a job, $10 an hour. You got to do what you got to do. I'm just saying that's not, for people who have bills and rent and all that, but at that point, like, you have to know your worth, and that really comes from it, like, knowing your worth. And also, that's the only way that you're going to be able to elevate in life. Like, for me, being an entrepreneur and wanting to grow my business and wanting to grow my YouTube channel, like, if I'm someone with no confidence, people see that, people see that from the outside, and people are more willing to support people who talk and think highly of themselves. Like, I just truly believe that,
right.
Like, we're attracted to people who are like confident and they exude, like, that energy. Like, you get that energy from people. So that's like my main goal.
And that's the kind of people you've been surrounding yourself as of late, right?
Yeah, I try to. You learn about people as you go. The more you spend time with people, you realize, like, people's truth colors and all that. But that really has nothing to do with me. That's also part of it. Like, something I learned, like, other people's views of life and themselves and also of me has nothing to do with me. Like,
right.
However you think about me, like, that's really on you. But I know what I think of myself. Yeah.
And that's a big thing. I mean, I could basically say the same thing about myself as well, especially considering that I was this person that didn't think very highly of himself for a very long time in my life, and that was just a lot of my old, my old memories seeping into my present and my future, and me allowing it to happen. And I feel like for the longest time, especially when I was younger, I dealt with a lot of discouragement. I mean, I think that was the key word to everything that was going on with me, and it was just not. It was not well for my mental. It was not well for my wellness, my purpose.
Yeah.
And I just had to, and I'm a stubborn guy as it is. So this is kind of a weird and violent analogy, but I had to be hit over the head with a sledgehammer for me to get some common sense into myself.
Wait, are you a Taurus?
Yes, I am.
Oh my God, yes. I love Taurus. They're always like my best friends. I'm a Taurus moon, so I get it. You guys are very stubborn.
Right, and you're a Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio,
okay, but you know what? You're one of the very few Scorpios that has not found a way to push my buttons. I'm dead. Let me just explain.
Please share.
So my brother's birthday is October 26th.
Okay.
He's a Scorpio.
Yeah.
I was once talking to somebody, a female, that was also October 26th. They shared the same birthday. And they knew exactly how to push the exact same buttons on me. And it was like, I mean, the only difference between you guys is genitalia. I mean, you guys both know how to fucking push my buttons the same exact way.
I'm dead. No, Scorpios definitely do. We push the limits. Like, we do. We're good at, like, sorry, Scorpios, but we manipulate people. Like, we're just very good at that. Like, we push the limits. We try to get people to change their mind about things, and we know what, like, annoys people.
I don't think it'll work with Taurus because we're too stubborn.
Taurus, honestly, it's a good match. Like, Taurus and Scorpios are compatible. My best friend's a Taurus.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Another thing that I also noticed on the YouTube channel is your trip to Curacao.
Yeah.
Now, First of all, that video was dope. I mean, you
Thank
were there for 4 days.
you.
It was a 20-minute video, but it was over the span of 4 days. What I wanted to talk about that one is that when I was watching that, it basically inspired me to do something into 2023, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time that I never got a chance to do. I actually almost had the opportunity to do it, but then fucking Corona decided to ruin everybody's plans, and that was actually do a solo trip.
Yes.
Yeah, so back in 2020, before the world took a shit and everything,
Yes.
I actually had booked a flight to Los Angeles for my birthday. My birthday's May 3rd. I'd never been to Los Angeles. I've been to California. I've been to Sacramento. I skydove in Sacramento. I went to San Francisco, but I never went to Southern California, and I wanted to go to a place where I could be by myself and been somewhere that I'd never been to before and just kind of enjoy my own time and my own peace and just exploring something new and see that the world is bigger than Jersey and Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
But then unfortunately COVID, stopped everything from that happening. But
damn COVID.
but watching that video kind of triggered something in my brain where like, you know what, I got to get back to that, because I remember I wanted to do a solo trip once and it didn't happen for circumstances that are beyond our control. But it just reminded me, like, all right, you did that. That was a solo trip for you, right? Like, you went by yourself, even though you knew people there. Did you know people there?
No, I didn't know anybody there. I went by myself. I met people that like worked on the resort and lived on the island, but I went by myself.
Okay, because I was in the person, because you said you had a friend.
No, I met like someone that lived there on the island.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's just a little bit of clarity. But but that was just a you trip, because the last time that you were on my show, you had done like a Houston trip, but you were there with your girls.
Yeah.
Or girl, but it wasn't a solo trip. This was actually a solo trip.
This was a solo trip. This was my second solo trip, but my first time going outside of the country by myself. So my first solo trip was to Arizona.
Okay.
And
I remember that,
Yeah, that was 2021.
Yes.
2021. Yeah. And that was my first solo trip. I was like, okay, let me try out like domestic, before I go international. International has always been like, people just scare, like I watched Taken, like I'm like, damn, am I gonna get taken in a different country? I don't know, but I was like, let me look up some safe islands. So I found Curacao. My ex actually told me about Curacao a couple years ago.
Okay.
And that's been on my list for a couple years. And I always like to travel for my birthday because it's super cold here in Jersey and nobody wants to go out and it sucks. Right. So I made that vow to myself, like I'm going to travel every single year for my birthday. So I did invite a couple people, or maybe only one. I think I invited my best friend, but she's a nurse. So she can't travel too much or whatever. She's a travel nurse. So it just worked out. I was like, I'm going by myself regardless of who comes or not. Right. And that's just... it worked out and it was the best trip ever. Yeah,
and it's for me, I feel like it's a perfect opportunity because I'm single now, and I definitely want to make that happen. I just don't know where. You know what I got to do though? I got to renew my passport because I haven't been out of the country in a long time. I'm 36 now. The last time I was out of the country was 16, so 20 years ago.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that was when I went to DR. Awesome trip. I loved it, but I feel I definitely want to go. It's just I got, again, going back to the idea of procrastinating. I got to get out of this procrastination state and just fucking renew my passport. Just do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I got to figure out where I would want to go. I know that I would want to go somewhere that I'd never been to before, and it was also a little bit outside the box. Like I don't know, maybe Australia.
That would be cool. I heard New Zealand's dope. Australia.
I heard Bali's dope too.
Bali, that's on my list.
Yeah.
Bali's on my list. I might go there next year. Bali or Thailand. But yeah, I heard both of them are very nice.
Yeah. And last time you were on my show, we talked about my trip to Hawaii at the time.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to do that again, but this time as a single man.
Yeah. Wait, did I hit you up a couple months ago and ask you about Hawaii? Because
yes,
I was supposed to go.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So it was... long story short. So I was supposed to go to Hawaii. I had a friend that was living there for a couple years, and this was part of like the rough time of 2022. Like I was just in this run. I was like, I need to get out of Jersey, like summer.
Okay.
This summer, and I was like, I hate it here. Like I hate Jersey. Things aren't going the way I want them to with my business.
I mean, I feel like you say that all year round anyway. So
yeah, it's always something. Yeah. But I was gonna go to Hawaii for a month.
Okay.
And I was telling everybody, I was like, I just need a break. I need to go. Like I booked a one-way flight. And long story short,
never coming back.
No, I had to come back as Milo. I'm like,
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
I couldn't leave him.
Yeah.
I was trying to take him, but yo, the restrictions to get your pet in Hawaii are crazy.
Listen, the restrictions in Hawaii, period, are crazy. I remember when I went, even though, COVID wasn't really a big thing anymore, like things had kind of been lifted in the country, they still treated everything there like if we were still on lockdown. Like,
Really?
we could still go to like lounges and restaurants and so on and so forth, but it was a must, especially if you weren't vaccinated, because
You had to wear a mask.
yeah, cause me, I went with it was me, my ex at the time, and two other people.
Mm-hmm.
Only one person in the party was not vaccinated, so everywhere they went, they had to wear a mask. Yeah, so they really took that shit really, really seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but what part of Hawaii were you supposed to go to?
So at the time, my friend was living in Honolulu.
Mm.
And I was gonna stay with her. She ended up moving back to Jersey.
Okay.
So
Why?
at the time,
I don't know.
personal reasons.
Okay,
yeah. She wanted to come
I'm
back.
I'm just being facetious.
Yeah.
Because I told you one time that I want to retire there. So
yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a great place to retire. I still want to go. Regardless, I'm gonna go. But long story short, it just didn't work out. The timing wasn't right, and I wasn't like upset about it or anything. I'm just like, the time is not right. I'm gonna go when it's the time for me to go. I didn't want to go and feel like rushed or not ready to be there. Or also, I heard Hawaii is very expensive.
Oh yeah.
I was like, let me look at an all-inclusive trip. Like, this might be the way for my birthday.
Right.
And I'm still down to go to Hawaii at some point.
But what you just said right there, like, it just, you weren't mad, it wasn't the right time, and so on and so forth. This goes back to what we were talking about just being patient and knowing that don't get too rattled up about things that just don't happen instantly. You're gonna go, it's gonna happen, it's just a matter of when. It's not like, oh, just because you missed it this time around, it doesn't mean that you're never gonna get to go.
Yeah.
So,
and like being patient and waiting for those things, and this is something that like I've had to train my brain, because I'm impatient. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I wait for things to happen. Like, I don't like waiting. So it takes practice, and also just seeing the proof that things are better when you wait for them. Like, for instance, I put out a dance visual a couple months ago, and that was probably one of the best dance visuals so I do like heels intensive programs or whatever. So I teach classes, and we put together this video, and this was something that I had in my mind years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, I had this vision of like doing this dance video in a nightclub, and like there being red lights, and I knew the song that I wanted to do.
Nice.
Beyonce 6-inch. And like, it just wasn't the right time when I thought of the idea. I wasn't the same dancer. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have my students, So now in 2022, like, seeing that video is exactly how I pictured it, but I had to wait for the right time to put it together.
And I guess you come off as a perfectionist as well, like,
very much.
Yeah, so it could
Which
be
is not always great.
No, we're always going to be our biggest critic, like, because everybody else that we know could be so impressed with what we did, but if it's only 99.9% perfect as opposed to 100, it's not good enough for us. Yeah, that's just the way we're wired.
Yeah, it's also like, it's good and bad. Like, I was telling someone today, like, it's good because you're always setting the bar higher. Like,
there's nothing wrong with raising your standards.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, even with that video, I mentioned it to my friend, and I'm like, I feel like I got to do better on the next one now. Like, that set the tone. And it's good because it's like, that's how you always level up, like, you always want to do better than you did last time. But then it's also bad because it's like, you're not enjoying.
I was just going to say that, like,
what you did.
Yeah, like, because let's just say hypothetically you do another one and it is better, but in your mind it's still not good enough, and then you're going to keep on trying, and you're just never going to satisfy yourself.
You just got to be happy and acknowledge your wins.
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning that more than ever nowadays, like that's another thing I feel like I could take away from this year. I got to give myself a lot more fucking credit than I realized.
Yes.
That's something that I've had a problem with a very long time. I don't know why I was so self-deprecating. I'm still a little bit of a self-deprecator here and there, but it was just like relentless. It was almost like, I don't know, I can't explain the mindset that I was in.
You were never satisfied with.
Right. But the thing is like, it's also listening to the outside noise, or, I could have, it was also a situation where like I could have 99 compliments, but then there's that one criticism, and that's the one that I take the hardest to most.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I don't know why they have that impact.
Yeah. Something that helps too is like just practicing gratitude. And I know that's something like we hear all the time, but like that shit really works. You know,
Mm,
like for me, like I mentioned, like journaling. So I'll start when I do journal, I'll try to do like once a week,
yeah.
you know, or a couple times a week when I feel called to do it. But I'll try to write down things that I'm grateful for and during the day. So
Right.
it could be in the morning, you know, just writing down like I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for Milo. I'm grateful
Mhm.
for you know, just small things. It could be anything. Like I'm
Right.
grateful for that call I had last night with this person, you know. So just trying to be more grateful for what you have. That way you're not always thinking about what you don't have.
Right. Yeah, and you know, this is kind of a weird story, but the point is that it made me realize that I should give myself a little bit more credit than I do.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe a couple of months ago, I was talking to somebody. Like, it was, we weren't dating, but it was just, you know, we were getting to know each other, and you know, like kind of like a little bit of a honeymoon phase, for lack of a better term. Everything
Yeah.
was going good, and the thing is that like this was a person that I felt was way out of my league. Like, how the fuck did I land this person? How the fuck is this person that interested in me? I am not their ideal person, you know. And ultimately, it didn't work out. Long story short, and it's fine. I'm, you know, not losing sleep over it,
Yeah.
but everything is a lesson in itself. And the lesson that I learned there is like, you got to give yourself some more credit, you know. Just, you know, like, this person that you feel like is out of your league actually saw some potential in you.
Yeah.
They saw something in you that turned them on, that they really enjoyed being around your being, and, you know, complimenting you the whole time. You know,
Yeah.
there's, at the end of the day, like, maybe I'm the one that's wrong.
Yeah.
So I gotta, you know, I gotta take those victories, you know, like, and you know, is this, you know how they always say actions speak louder than words. That, if that action didn't speak any louder, then I don't know what will.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
that's what I took away from it. So yeah, no, it's unfortunate that it didn't work out, but at least I took a lesson out of that. Like, hey, got to give yourself some more credit. I mean, you are catch at the end of the day.
Yeah. And everything should be a lesson. Like every relationship, every job that you leave, every interaction you have with someone, you know, at the grocery store or driving, you know, like everything should be a lesson. Like we should always try to take and reflect, like, why did that happen? Or why was I thinking that way? Or why did I do that? Why did I say that? That's how you grow.
Have you ever been in a situation, because this has happened to me, and it's actually happened more than I'd like to admit. Have you ever been in a situation where, for example, let's say that you need to get somewhere, but then you get delayed because of things that are out of your control?
Yes.
And then you get frustrated, but then afterwards you see that, like, actually, that's actually a pretty good story. It's a good example. So I remember one time I had to go to Willowbrook Mall in Wayne, and I took this exit that was the wrong one because it's a confusing ass exit. And I'm like, oh fuck, man, I got to do this all over again. I got to go make this big ass U-turn and come all the way back around and everything. So then I had no choice. That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
And then once I finally get to the exit that I was supposed to take, there's just like a lot of traffic and it's not moving and so on and so forth. And then I find out that there was a fucking accident, a 3-car accident, and it was bad. Like, it was really, really bad. And I thought to myself, holy shit, what if I was meant to take that wrong turn and do it all over again? Because I could have been that 3rd car or 4th car, you know? It's moments like that that made me realize that, you know what? Let me just not get all strung out and, you know, uptight about, like,
Let me
you know,
chill.
yeah, you know, just let it happen naturally, you know, and you don't want to put yourself in this negative headspace when you got to go ahead and do something and then fuck up your whole day.
Yeah.
So has that ever happened to you? Like, you've been in a situation where, like, you feel like you're fucking late for something and you're kind of frustrated, but then it was a good thing that you know, the patience was there because you could have been in something that was unfortunate as an accident?
I would say, I mean, things like that happen all the time where you're like rushing or you're overthinking. Like, for instance, like today I had a client, we were supposed to meet at 5:15. I was like 5 minutes late and I was stressing because I was like, oh my God, I'm late. I hate being late. I was late today. Sorry. But
I was going to say, it's probably a good thing that you were late because who knows, you know, who knows what would happen on the way over here.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So I was like 5 minutes late and then she ended up being like 10 minutes late. So it's like, it worked out, you know, like I'm rushing and it's like, yeah, we want to be on time, but it's also like, you never know what someone else is going through as well. Like she was sitting in traffic. So it's like, you got to have that grace, like for yourself and then also for other people too. Like everything, like shit just happens, you know, like shit happens literally. And we just have to move on. Like you're not even going to think about it afterwards.
Yeah, no, it just becomes a faint memory, you know.
Yeah, a lot of shit we stress about, we don't even think about the next day. Like, we have more shit to think about.
But that goes back to what we were talking about how we live in this instant gratification, instant coffee world where we need it right then and there, and it's all for naught because we're gonna forget about it in the blink of a hat, in the drop of a hat.
Yep.
Yeah. So we focused a little bit more on the beginning of 2022, and then now focus on the positives of like towards the end of 2022, because you said that it started off rocky and then afterwards it started off better for you and you're in a much better place right now. I just mentioned also that it was opposite for me. Like now I feel like I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm going through a little bit of financial strain right now. And this is actually going back to your video where you were talking about like people going through anything. It could be going through a breakup, they go through financial strain, troubles at work, whatever the case may be. But like I said, I'm just for some odd reason, and I'm actually glad that I'm having this mind state where I'm really, really optimistic and I'm not letting it eat me up, even though it should. It's not ideal, the situation that I'm in right now, but I'm not letting it consume my everyday life, and I'm glad that I have this mentality.
And good. And like, honestly, once you have that mentality, you're able to then focus on like what you need to do, which is work, which is try to improve your situation. So if you're constantly stressed, and I was in the same situation a couple months ago where I was like stressed, like, damn, like things aren't going right, like I'm not making enough money, whatever the case. And because you're stuck in that mindset of like, that's all you can think about, all you can think about is money, it's like you're not able to put your energy into what you need to put your energy into, which is, how do I make more money? What can I do to make more money? Like, instead of stressing, like, focus on the solution, And also for me, I can honestly say that just growing my faith has helped me so much. Like, in faith, in terms of like, I know that I'm going to be taken care of regardless. Like, things are going to change. Things are going to get better. Things are just going to get better. They have to, once they're here, like you can't go down anymore. Like once you're low, there's only up. So.
Unless you keep yourself down there. That's the thing that people need to realize, By any chance, I don't know, this is kind of random, but I'm reaching a point here. By any chance, do you remember a few years ago, back in 2019, I believe, there was this viral video of this really short guy in Long Island, basically, being derogatory towards women in a bagel shop, and then he got tackled by a big guy because he was being misogynistic and everything.
I'm dead. No, I don't remember.
Okay, well, either way, he's not important because he was a person that got viral and he had his little 15 minutes of fame and so on and so forth, and he thought that he was going to be this big star because now he was known all over the world because of this incident. Yeah, it was really pathetic, but I don't know why, but sometimes we go down these YouTube rabbit holes. And then I started like, I don't know why, even though he was a guy that I do not want to be in the same room with, his negativity was oddly fascinating to me. I don't know why.
Because you're like, what is wrong with this person?
But you know what though? I'm glad that I went down that rabbit hole because unfortunately when I saw some of his behavior and so on and so forth, it's kind of hit me like, oh my God, I feel like I'm about to be in the same trajectory as this guy, because everything that I understand where he's coming from, and I know why he's so fucking angry at the world and everything. And then it clicked in my head, like, I shouldn't be, I'm understanding of it, but I don't want to fall into that same category as this person. It's no wonder why this guy's life is such shit, because of the way he views the world. And like everything happens for a reason. Maybe I was meant to go down that rabbit hole because maybe I needed this little pathetic man who's basically a negative Nancy and showing why he is basically repellent to, women and everything. I felt like, if I kept on this trajectory of negativity that I was on, I was going to fall victim to that as well. Sometimes it was almost kind of like looking in a mirror, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And I needed that wake up call. And I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole and I continue to go down to it, but I feel like I needed to, because I did not want to say, fall into that same fate as that person did.
Yeah, it's a good example of what you don't want to be.
Yeah,
yeah.
And this actually goes back to something that we have in common from back in the past. So like you used to work at Maggiano's.
Yeah.
So did I, but I was gone by the time you started working there. During the time that I was working there, I felt like I was falling down that rabbit hole of being a person that nobody wanted to be around, because I just was so frustrated and angry at the whole world, and I was taking it out on all my colleagues, and I could understand now why they kept their distance from me, as opposed to wondering like what the hell's wrong with them, and there was nothing wrong with me. But I'm glad that I snapped out of it, and there was a point where I felt like I needed to make up for it.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, I realized, you know what? Those people and everything that happened back then, it was in the past. So we should just stay in my past, and I shouldn't focus on the present, that into the present and into the future.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I'm glad that it was a wake up call, because who knows if I would have kept down that trajectory.
And at least you see like where you were then, and like, and where you are now, you know, like you see the difference and you see the changes.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate for that, because there's a lot of people out there that still haven't, or they just don't want to recognize it.
Exactly.
You know, they're still under the mentality that nothing is wrong with them. It's the world that's wrong. It's the world that's fucked up.
That's the worst mindset to be in. Like a victim. I hate a victim. I hate a victim.
It's almost the same shit. Like, in, you know, I don't like to talk about politics really, but it's almost like people are always mad about who's president because they want them to fix everybody else's problems instead of focusing on their own problems.
I hate politics. I don't even talk about that. I hate it. I'm just not involved. Don't get me involved.
Nah, I'm stay the fuck away from me with that shit.
We got Trump about to run again. Like, I can't. Like,
oh yeah, let's not say the T word here.
Beep it out on YouTube. Beep.
Banned everywhere else. Why not?
Yes.
But anyway, so no, I'm just glad that I was able to, you know, snap out of that mindset and so on and so forth. And I'm really I'm just really appreciative that people are seeing that form in me. And you know, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that, but it is a good feeling when people actually notice a good change in me and you know, are willing to give me a second chance, because I feel like I would give people second chances.
That's a good feeling to be acknowledged, and people see like your growth and the changes in you. Like, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, especially when you're not trying to be acknowledged or anything like that. You're basically just doing it for yourself, and then everybody noticing it is just the validation.
That's a good feeling.
Right, yeah.
That means you're in the right path.
Yeah. I feel like I'm doing the same thing as you are, where you're trying to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. I do. I try to. I also like being alone a lot. I feel like that's where I grow a lot too. Like, because my job is so social and it involves me being around so many different people and different types of energies. But when it comes to like my close circle of my friends, I don't have like a big circle of friends. I have like a handful of friends, and I'm just very selective with who I share my energy with, and like the types of conversations I have. Like, I don't have these deep conversations with just anybody. Some relationships are just surface, and some conversations are just surface. But for me, like, I really thrive like being by myself. That's where like I get my work done, and I'm able to brainstorm, and I'm able to just think about what I need to do, you know, what needs to change, things like that. But it's a balance.
Yeah. And you know what's a weird thing about perception is ever since I started the podcast, I've had numerous people on my show, and I've, you know, connected and had relationships and, you know, other workings with other people and so on and so forth. So the funny thing is that, yeah, I've met a lot of people, and I've worked with a lot of people. I've talked and, you know, made relationships and so on and so forth. But people are under the impression that I'm really much busier than I really am. Like, because, you know, people see the number of people that follow me on social media, or I'm doing this with that person and so on and so forth. They figure that I'm just like the busiest person in the world. And what's actually funny is that you have sometimes people that think that because I do the show and everything, that, oh, you must meet a ton of girls, you must go out with this girl, that girl. Like, no, like people need to understand that while they think I'm out there living my best life or doing something and think I'm trying to be like some kind of celebrity or whatever, no, I'm just safe in my own house just watching Netflix or whatever, you know?
Like, I'm just trying to make a living.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not doing much.
Like, don't believe everything you see on Instagram. You know,
exactly.
It's simply just for the gram. That's not my real life. But I just find it ironic and hilarious how, you know, people tend to have this perception of me ever since I started the show. When in reality, I'm solo. I'm solo dolo.
Yeah. People judge. Like, that's how people are. If you go to my Instagram, like, a lot of people, you know, you see dance videos and all that, and I dance in heels and stuff like that. So people are just like like people just assume that I dance all day. Like I don't. Like I dance, like I train and then I teach classes, but I like to chill. I like to relax. I like to read. I like to educate myself. So I'm not always just dancing. And then when I go out, people expect me to dance, and I don't dance when I go out. Like if we're at like a lounge or something, like I'm chilling. I want to sip on, my drink.
And that makes sense because you dance enough at work. Why would you bring your work into the outside world?
Exactly. Like I'm tired.
You got to keep a little bit of that energy reserved for when it actually comes down to it.
Right. Right.
But yeah, no. I'm wow. I'm kind of lost for words because we just kind of touched on everything. But no, I really, you're absolutely right. I mean, I just love my me time. I'm actually more. It's actually more precious to me now more than ever. I mean, I remember there was a time when before I started living on my own, and I was like, man, when I get my own place, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be like a nonstop party. It's gonna be a revolving door. People
all the
over
time. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Completely different. No.
Like, I don't want anyone here right now.
No, I don't want anybody here ever. You know? Monty is the only one that's allowed.
Yes. I feel like too, there's been this shift from like 2020 when we were in lockdown. And do you remember like it was like that's all you could do, like go to people's houses. Like people weren't going out and stuff like that. So you were more likely to have people over to have like little get-togethers and stuff like that. Like I had a New Year's party 2021. Well, going into 2021. And now I'm like, I don't want people at my house. Like I don't want to clean up. Somebody dropped coal on my freaking carpet.
Get
a
the
hookah
fuck
coal. Yeah, it's my
Oh.
friend. One of my friends. You know who you are. But I'm like, you know what? This is not the vibe. Like, no.
Yeah, and then just people are just annoying, you know. I mean,
Yes.
there's some friends and family of mine that I love dearly with all my heart, but that doesn't necessarily give them a pass to come through anytime they want. You know, like I can have like a friend or a family member that we'll watch football every Sunday, but there's sometimes that I don't want to be around them because I want to actually sit and watch the game. I don't give a fuck about what's going on with you, or I don't want to hear your 2 cents about the game and everything. I just want to watch the game. You know,
It's true. And then people like suck your energy too, especially like at home. It's like, this is my peaceful sanctuary. Like, this is my space where I chill. Like, I decompress. Like, don't be coming over here with your problems. Like, venting and bringing all that negative energy over here. Like,
oh my God. And you know what's even more annoying than that? When you have like somebody over and then they're just like being obnoxious, and then while they're talking and everything, always going like this, that, that has happened to me a couple of times. I'm trying to just enjoy my time, and you keep on tapping me on my shoulder,
so
like,
annoying.
oh my God, I just want to knock them the fuck out. I just want to chop off their head so they can stop.
I'm dead. No, that's really annoying. I hate that. People who don't have personal space in general, like, why are you so close to me? Back up. I hate that in the grocery store.
Yes.
Like when you're in line and someone's like right behind you, like, yo, can I pay? Like, can I swipe my card without you like all up on me? Like, back up. People, I can't.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I miss about the pandemic.
I know.
People keeping their distance.
Yes. That was the best. That was the best time. Yo, like 6 feet. Get away from me.
I prefer 12, but
12.
That's why I online shop these days more than ever. I'm more of an online shopper more than anything.
I hate the mall. Like,
I
will avoid the mall at all costs.
I can't tell you the last time I stepped foot in a mall, and I don't plan to step into one anytime soon.
It makes no sense. And even like passing the mall, like Garden State, I pass it all the time to go home, and seeing like a full parking lot, I'm like, there's online shopping now. Like, what? You guys are really at the mall, like shoulder to shoulder, just out here fighting over parking for what? It makes no sense.
No, I hate this world. I just hate people in general.
This is why Scorpios and Taurus get along, because we just hate people. We're just like, I hate everyone. Like, I just want to be home. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, we still love y'all though. Don't worry. Especially all my Taurus and Scorpios out there. Yeah, no. So, what other things that are you looking forward to in 2023 that you haven't mentioned in any videos or any social media or anything? Like, do you have maybe another solo trip planned, and do you know where you want to go? Anything that you want to try, like new and exciting? Do you want to start dating again? Like, what other things do you have that you're looking forward to?
So much. I'm honestly excited for 2023. Like, I feel like it's gonna be a good year. I say that every year, but like I do feel like I truly feel that it's gonna be a good year.
In this instance, yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's also like what you put into it. So for me, I definitely want to grow my business, expand my business. I want to grow my YouTube channel, be able to monetize it. I'm almost there. I need to get my views up. And
just stay consistent with it.
Exactly. And I have 2 retreats planned. Well, one of them is planned. It's actually happening in February. So if you guys, I think the last episode we talked about the retreat a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I usually host, not usually because this is very new. This is actually my second retreat.
Semantics.
So, yeah. So I do like a self-care retreat for, women. Men can come too, but it's really geared towards women.
Right.
And I'm trying to do that twice a year. So the first one happened this past April. We went to Arizona, Scottsdale, and Phoenix. And where else we go? Sedona. And that was amazing. First retreat for me, planning everything. It was stressful, but it was worth it. Like, I got really good feedback. So I planned another one for February coming up. We're going to Cabo.
Nice.
And it's lit. There's 16 of us. It's very stressful planning vacation for 16 people, but I like planning. Like, that's what I do. And the next one's going to be October. I'm not going to say where we're going yet, but if you guys are interested, you can follow Real Rhythm Dance Fitness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to know is that in this world of pessimism that we still live in today, and it seems even more so than ever based on the kind of crowd that we surround ourselves, where do you get this passion and inspiration to actually do the opposite? Like, what actually inspires you? Because you talk about how you're focusing on yourself, and it's trying to center yourself and do better for yourself. But it also interests me, like, where do you have this passion and this desire to help others out there in this world of pessimism that we live in?
I really feel like happy people can just make a difference in this world. Like, who wants to be around unhappy people? And it's like, if I could help people be happier and live a more fulfilled life and do things that they're passionate about and dance and move their bodies and also like be healthy and try to do better and treat people better. Like, one of the things, I don't just have my students come in and dance. Like, I talk about actually like trying to be better people, and community is everything, honestly. And I'm very grateful that I've been able to build this community, with my business and just have a safe space for people to come and be themselves and not feel stressed out by work and family and kids and all that. But to go back to your question, for me, I just feel like I want to be happy. Like, that's a goal for me. Like, I want to live a good life. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be stressed out every day. I don't want to be a complainer. I want to take initiative to make the most out of life. And if I could help other people do that, like, that's going to make me feel even better. So
basically you're doing it for yourself as much as you're doing it for them.
Yeah. Like, honestly, a lot of the YouTube videos that I put out, when I do like my one-on-one talks, it's really me talking to myself. Like, anything that I say to other people, these are things that I also need to hear.
Right.
So it also helps me, like, healing other people, trying to heal other people, it also heals me. It brings me happiness to see other people like changing their lives and doing better for themselves.
Yeah, it just fascinates me because I know that there's people out there that they want to be helpful to others, but they only really do it. Their real motivation behind doing it is because it's an ego stroke.
They're
for them.
selfish.
Yeah, like I can't tell you how many times there's been a situation where I'm going through something that's really, really draining and really tough for me, and then you have these people that are surrounding me and trying to like boost up my confidence and so on and so forth. But me being the person that I am, and I pick up on vibes pretty easily nowadays, I notice that they're only doing it because they want to pat themselves on the back for, cheering me up.
Yeah.
And I felt that that's where they don't come from a place of being genuine.
Yeah. You can always tell. I mean, not everybody can, but I feel like, we have that talent, that gift to just, pass people. Like,
we know
really
how to pick
good.
up on people's bullshit. Basically.
Hell yeah. Like, I'm so good at like picking up on vibes and like I'll match the vibe. If I meet someone who seems super fake or whatever, like, okay, like, it's going to be surface, but I'm not going to tell you things that are personal. I'm not going to talk to you about certain things because you come off as fake to me and, you have ulterior motives, or you're just selfish. Or another thing too is like, for me, I'm not driven by money. So I think that's part of it. Like, you can feel more like gratification and just happier about certain things when you're not driven by money. So for instance, like if I'm doing dance classes and let's say I have 2 people show up, I'm not making any money. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm thinking more in terms of like, I'm doing this for me and I'm doing this for them, I'm going to be happy regardless. I'm not going to be thinking like, yeah, it's nice to make money. It's great.
Yeah,
you know, like we should make money. But it's also, I'm not teaching a class with 2 people. You guys better sign up for class.
But I just look at that as like, we know our worth, you know? So why not show us, you know, with currency?
Yeah.
So to speak.
It's more so that like money is just a plus. I really feel like money is a plus. And when you're truly passionate about something and you love what you're doing and you're putting in the work genuinely, the money's going to come. People are going to be attracted to your energy, to what you're offering. If you're really putting in the work and like offering good things and things that people can utilize and benefit from, they're going to give you their money. People are so willing to spend their money on things that, like, take a look at McDonald's. Like, people like McDonald's because it tastes good. It makes them feel good, not after, but it makes them feel good while they're eating it, you know? Right. So people have like emotional connections to things. So if you're someone that's able to offer that emotional connection or something more than just a regular service or whatever the case, like people are going to give you their money.
Does it ever frustrate you when you're doing something that you're really passionate about and you're not caring about monetization necessarily, but it frustrates you when everybody else surrounds you with like that only concern? Like I'll even tell you right now, one of the downfalls in my last relationship, and also to an extent with some of my family members, is I feel like I haven't been able to get the support from those parties because they're not seeing any kind of profit from it, and not acknowledging that I'm not doing this. I didn't get into this for the profits and the monetization. I did this because I basically found out purpose for myself after all doing this. And then when people don't reciprocate that same energy, it gets frustrated for me. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Absolutely. Like, first of all, I feel like most of my family members don't really take what I'm doing serious. Like, no one really knows the extent of like how I'm really trying to grow, you know?
Because you told me before about how your mother's not necessarily a fan of the videos that you do.
Yeah, like, well, the heels videos, you know, she's supportive of everything else, like my fitness and, you know, all that. But when it comes to like, you know, the sexy provocative things, she's like, you're doing too much. But
it's the same thing with me, not to cut you off. It's the same thing with me. Like, I remember my mom called me on somebody's show on TV one time, and she was like, oh, he did a really good job. I wish he didn't curse so much, but he did great.
They always have to find something. Like, I wish you didn't do that. I wish you had on more clothes. Like, you know, well, sorry, Mom. This is me, you know. Yeah. But
thanks for watching.
Exactly. But to go back to that topic, like, yeah, there's going to be people who don't believe in you. And, you know, but that also goes into like people who are money driven versus passion and purpose driven. So, you know, and I think too, like our generation, our parents' generation, they grew up with the mentality like you got to work a 9 to 5, you got to grow and, you know, excel in your job and get promoted and make a living for your family and all this, and like
have a 5-year plan and all that shit. Have a
5-year plan and a 401k and all this stuff. And like our generation is so different now, and it's like there's so many entrepreneurs now, and there's so many people working non-traditional jobs, like we were talking about before the podcast, non-traditional jobs, and just really finding things that they really like to do and just saying no to things that are going to make them miserable. Like, I don't want to work this job because I'm miserable. Like, I'm not doing this, Mom. You did it, but I'm not doing it. Like,
and don't you want better for us anyway?
Yeah. So then they kind of minimize like what you're doing because they don't see the money in it, you know.
You know what I think a part of it also is that, you know, the older generation, my parents, your parents, I think they focus too much on trying to give their children the life that they didn't have, and they forget, and they kind of get lost in the sauce about, you know, giving them what they did have, you know, the values and, you know, the hard work and the integrity and so on and so forth. And that gets lost in the mix because they're focused on what they didn't have, and they want that for you.
Yeah.
And you know, they do the best they can to help you out, but when you're not applying the same amount of energy and effort, then it gets frustrating. And it's not intentional. It's just they got to realize that, you know, they were once just like us too. They had to learn some things the hard way and so on and so forth. So you know, just because they try to carve out a better life for us, that, you know, better than they did, doesn't mean that we're not going to go through our own trials and tribulations.
Yeah. And also our parents did not, a lot of them, let's be honest, they didn't fulfill their dreams. Even if they had dreams, you know, they, whatever it is, like my dad never talks about what dreams he had. So I just think it just wasn't realistic to be like, oh, I want to be an actor. You know, it's always like, nah, be realistic.
Yeah.
You get a job doing this is where the money's going to come from and the stability. So when you are trying to actually live your dreams and you are trying to do something that you are passionate about or that you love, if there's no instant money in it, like they're not going to support it. And also it also has to do with like the support that they received, you know, and like a lot of our parents didn't receive support from their parents and their grandparents and stuff like that. So I think that's why it's so important. Like if you do have kids, if you're watching this and you have kids, like support your children, like whatever they want to do, like let them try out different things, get them into hobbies. If they want to go do golf, put them into golf. Like I think it's so important to have your children like really have passion about something.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Even if it doesn't always align with what they had in mind, it's still a passion nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I don't have any children myself, at least not that I know of, but
hopefully not.
No, but you know, if there's anything, and you know, this goes back to what we were talking about, how you know, everything is hindsight 2020. Maybe the trials and tribulations that I had to go through with my parents, because, you know, I don't necessarily believe that I had the greatest childhood or the greatest upbringing. It wasn't terrible. I mean, there was so many people that were worse off than me, but it was far from perfect. But the point is that I feel like I'm glad that I went through those trials and tribulations in those times of growing up in my youth, because it was going to be a lesson to when that time comes, if I do have children, then it's gonna remind me, like, not just to do this, but don't do this at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I wish that my parents were a little bit more, I should say my family as a whole were more supportive in some of the dreams that I had back then.
Agreed.
And, you know, it didn't work out that way, but what I could take away from that as a lesson is that when the time comes for me to have children, be supportive.
You will support
your
kids.
Yeah. You want to be a movie director, I will help you into anything to, like, you know, we'll make short films. I'll put you into film school or something like that. Just make sure that it's something that you really want. And if it's not something that you want in the end, at least I know that you fucking tried.
And those are the people that are the most successful. The people who get that support. You know who Marissa Martin is? She's like a little actress. She was
of course.
Little.
You know how I know this? Because the last time you were on my show, I asked you what actress would you like to play you in a movie, and you said Marissa Martin.
I did.
Yes,
I
you did.
love her. She's so cute.
I know.
But her parents support her. Like, her parents literally, I think they work for her, or they have like an agency. I don't know, something along the lines, but they work together.
Right.
And it's like, yo, to have, like, think about if you had that support from a young age, like how successful you would be, how far ahead you would be, you know? Like, I really wish I had that support from my parents, but, you know, it is what it is. You learn, and I feel like that also gives you the strength to then be like, well, I'm going to do this on my own. It is what it is. I'm going to find people, you know, who do support me, and I'll show you, Mom.
Shout out to both of our moms. My mom's a Taurus, actually, so you probably get along with us.
Wait, my mom is too.
When's her birthday?
May 14th. I'm horrible. Oh my God, I don't know my mom's birthday. Edit that out.
Yeah, my mom's May 12th.
Oh my God.
And I'm May 3rd, so.
I really think my mom's a Taurus. I'm pretty sure.
Wow, you don't even know she's a Taurus.
My mom's not into like astrology and stuff.
No, but you should know her birthday at least.
I should. I'm horrible.
Yeah, well, shout out to your mother. Hopefully she's watching, and hopefully she doesn't get too mad. Yeah, so but yeah, no, I guess we'll leave it there. I mean, like again, I said before, and I'll say it again. I'm really glad that you've take the time for my little old show and everything. Thank you for the support from from the very beginning. Thank you for your respect. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for your inspiration. Because believe it or not, the things that you do and being in your presence as a friend and a colleague and everything, it actually really inspires me. And being around people like you and everybody else in my circle that continue to inspire me, I just hope that I could do the same for you guys as well in the future.
Thank you. That means so much, for real. And same, vice versa. Like anything I can do to support you, like this is dope what you're doing. It honestly is inspiring me. Like, right. So
you know what I love about our dynamic also? I think that we've only seen a total of each other in person 3 times. Yeah. And each time was just over for the podcast. Yeah. We never really hung out socially or anything like that. But it's like the camaraderie never went anywhere. Yeah. It's still intact, and I'm pretty sure that when we do this again a year from now, it's going to be like no time has passed.
It's good vibes. It's always good vibes. And like you're authentic. I can tell you're like an authentic person, and you care about the type of like conversations and content that you're bringing to your audience.
It's it's important. It matters. It really is important to me. I mean, like I said before, this platform, this little old platform of mine, actually makes me finally realize I have purpose in life.
Yeah, and one day, a couple of years from now, or whenever, it could be a year from now, you saying this little podcast, like you're gonna look back and be like, it's not so little. Like it was little, but you just gotta.
I just love that manifesting energy that you put out there.
No, for real. Yeah. You gotta start like you gotta talk the talk. Wherever you're trying to get in life, you gotta talk the talk. Like I'm the best podcast host, whatever it is. Like like speak that energy.
You know what I will say this. I will say this, and it's not to be cocky or anything, but I've noticed a lot of content creators out there, especially in my realm. Around like when they start around the same time that I have, or maybe a little bit earlier, or a little bit later. And not to sound cocky or anything, but I feel like I can run circles around a lot of you guys because I feel like, and the reason that I say
that talk,
and again, not to be cocky or anything, but I feel like a legitimate reason why I feel that way is because I feel like we live in this world where everybody wants to be a content creator now because they see somebody like Joe Rogan who gets $100 million deal from Spotify, and then they feel like this is the next way to get rich and make a career and so on and so forth. For me, that's not why I got into it. I did not get into this for monetary reasons, and yet I treat it like it's the fucking biggest job in the world.
And that's how you're going to get the money. Yeah. That's how you are going to be able to monetize. That's how you are going to be able to sustain and keep going and grow this podcast, because you're actually doing it out of your like genuine heart. Like you're actually doing this because you want to. Yes. Instead of like, oh, this is another money grab. This is something I could do. And like a lot of people who hop on these trends of like doing a podcast or, trying to be a content creator, starting a YouTube channel, like they don't realize the work. It's actually work that you have to do. Like editing these videos, taking the time, carving out the time to actually do the content. All of that, uploading it, writing captions, like it takes time.
Yeah. See, what we're doing right now is the fun part.
This is the fun part.
Yeah, but
this is the easy part.
This is the easy part. But the before and after, that's where the real grunt work comes into play. Yeah. It's the same thing with your videos. Like when you're talking to yourself and you're recording and everything, and every now and then when Milo is interrupting you, that's the fun part. But then when it comes down to editing and making sure the the color's right, the lighting's right, the captions, so on and so forth, that's the real grunt work.
Yo, that Curacao vlog took me over 6 hours to edit,
and that's a 20-minute video.
Yes, because it wasn't a 20-minute video. Like it's multiple videos, and I cut it. And that's part of it. Like that's the part that you don't see. You're like, oh, this is a nice video, but like, yo, it took me a while to edit that video. Yeah.
Well, it was definitely not for naught, because you inspired me to do a solo trip. I don't know where it's gonna be, but. Maybe Bali. Hey, why not? Why not?
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So again, Marissa, thank you again for coming through. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to besides Milo?
Shout out to my mama. Shout out to my sister. Shout out to RRDF squad. You know what it is, baby. Follow me at RisFitKitty on Instagram.
And Real
Rhythm Dance Fitness.
And don't forget about the merch, Real Vibes Only.
Real Vibes Only. You know what it is. You can also follow me on YouTube, Marissa Tonge. And definitely subscribe to my channel.
Nice. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at Jason Enrique _ on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Now I have to have TikTok, unfortunately.
Oh God,
but
I hate TikTok. We should have talked about that. We should have talked about TikTok. I hate TikTok.
Oh my God. But hey, this is what we got to do, you know. But yeah, you can find me at Jason Enrique _ on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And don't forget to follow the First Class Second Place podcast page on Instagram as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique. This has been the First Class Second Place podcast. We out.
Peace.